record. All right, we've come together to have a wonderful, fun live coaching event. I see that my partner, my volunteer, has joined us, but first off, I'm gonna give a couple of minutes to allow people to file in. I will ask that we stay off of camera, except for me and my potential partner, if they desire. They could stay off camera if they want. So it's fully up to you. I'll give you guys agency to make that choice. All right, so I want to state a quote before we begin, before we start coaching. So the quote that I chose, and if you don't know, I love quotes. I find quotes to be great pointers towards learning something new. I find quotes to be obviously a powerful quote can have a lot of meaning and a lot of interpretation and a lot of views and perspectives built into it. And of course, that has to do with your own life and your own experiences. But sometimes a quote can land and shift your perspective in an instant. So the quote that I chose today is, "Disagreements become stepping stones to better relationships when we choose to listen rather than react." Okay. So this quote really, to me, what stands out is the part of listening. Okay. So truly listening to what someone says, not just their words, but listening to what they mean, what they're saying behind the words, what the energy is, what their body language is, what they're really trying to deliver, right? So it's, to me, I think about communication, right? As human beings, we communicate pretty much all day, every day. The thing is it's shocking at how many times there's miscommunication. Like we'll say something, but we mean a whole lot more, but what we say comes out maybe jumbled, or maybe it's abbreviated, or maybe it's in our own language, or working for an insurance company, there's a lot of acronyms. So that can be very confusing as well. But it's amazing that we human beings can communicate at all, to be honest with you. But by listening to what other people are saying, not just the words, but their true meaning, we show respect, we show empathy, and we get that reflected back. Okay. So with human beings, we mirror each other. So if I wave at people, if I just you and me, for instance, if I see you across the roadway and I wave at you, eventually you'll start waving at me. You might kind of just do a quick little, oh, I'm not sure who that is. Maybe they know me. It might be an awkward wave, but we human beings mirror each other. So I always like to think that whatever energy you bring into a relationship is the energy you get reflected back. That's mirroring. Okay. We human beings mirror one another. So if you're wanting to be heard in a conversation, you'll want to lead with hearing them first. Okay. It's a dance and you are in charge. You can be in lead. It doesn't matter. It's not something you have to declare. But if you want to be heard in any kind of conversation, you've got to hear the other person first. Ask curious questions. Be really curious about not just what they said, but what they mean. Okay. So it's learning how to ask strong, powerful questions that really land for the other person where they feel heard, seen, and important. Communication, like I said, is like a dance. So you can lead the dance by truly deeply listening and reflecting back what you hear in your own words. And we're going to demonstrate that today in this coaching, I'm pretty sure. All right, so we're 5 minutes in. I want to go ahead and ask Mitch to open up his mic. Actually, your mic is open. Well, hello, Mitch.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for volunteering. This was I was very pleased. I had volunteers left and right, but you were the first one. You're like, Catherine, I want to do this. So the topic I threw out was relationships and conflicts. And you were like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll go on camera and do this. So first off, thank you again for partnering with me. Second off, are you in a place that you feel comfortable, you feel safe, and willing to explore whatever rises to the top for you?
100%.
All right. So am I. I feel like I'm with friends. So, but as a reminder, I am recording this. So if at any point you're feeling
It's family. It's family.
but I do want to throw this out there for you, Mitch, and for me too. This is our space. It is recorded. There are people watching. I will open it up for questions towards the end, but I also want to give you a lifeline, a parachute. You know what I mean by that, to
Yeah.
say, I'm feeling uneasy about this. Let's move back over here, or whatever. You're behind the wheel. I'm in the back seat. You're driving, and so you have free will to tell me at any point in time that you don't want to venture into a place that feels uncomfortable. So I want to make sure that that's out there. Now, well, let's begin. So what puzzle do you want to solve today?
Um, I don't know. Throw something at me. Um, just my things I've been going through for the last, 6 to 8 weeks here. It does stem back on relationships, like you're saying. Um, my brother is going through a pretty hard time right now, and even though he's my twin, um, he needs my support more now than he ever has. And even if it's a quick 10-minute call in the morning just to see how he's doing and what he's got planned for the day, I know it means a lot to him, right? And I think it's helping us both grieve through this situation.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying not to focus too much energy on that. I need to concentrate on on my marriage and my home and myself too, right? Better than anybody that I was always used to packing this shit on my own and not wanting to share it, and then I would have it bottled up to the point where it's like a nitrous oxide bottle. The bottle has so much pressure in it that it's gonna fucking explode, right? And then who knows what's gonna fly where or how big the pieces are, but there's gonna be damage, right? And it's it's not a way to live anymore. I mean, I've done it for too long, and this last 2.5 years, almost 3 years, has actually saved me mentally and physically and everything. It's what you put into it's what you're going to get out of it. I mean, you could give all the tools you want, but if you're not going to use them when they're required, and trust me, I've worn out about fucking 10 sets of parachutes in the last 3 weeks. So um, I'm pulling them steady, right? And it's just something that's helping me. And even Melanie throws out, pull the fucking chutes, man. You got to pull the chutes, right? So I just, yeah, it's a challenge, and everything stems back from one thing to another, right? There's so many different equations here that finally equal the sum, right? So if I'm failing, in two of these aspects, well, it's not going to add up to anything positive, right? It's just I'm struggling, and I can't live like that anymore, and I don't want to live like that anymore, and I just want to be happy and kind of be normal, I guess, you know.
Yeah, and what I hear is you want to be happy, and I get the sense that both your twin brother and Melanie want you happy as well.
Yeah. But yourself that sometimes when I shut down, like I just shut right fucking down, and there's four big iron walls around me, and then I have to I have to put them down. I mean, they could come up so fast. It's so easy to fall back into old habits and you know.
I'm curious with what you've overcome and how you've grown over the last 2.5 years and really evolved and created new habits. What's opened up for you in your relationships with your brother, with Melanie, whatever you're comfortable in saying?
Um, I think, well, things that I've learned, like you touched on a lot of things in your opening introduction there, mirroring, right? So we've both done it to each other. She's pissed off about something, or something upset her. I'm on the bandwagon right beside her, holding two shotguns, ready to go, right? Well, or likewise, right? If I'm fired up about something and she's there, well, her emotions are on board as well too, right? So when when I mention these these what's the word I'm looking for, behavior, uh, um, I get told, stop acting like so and so, right? Because they don't want to hear it, but it's natural for me to just expose the tools that I have that helps me, right? I can't force this on anybody, or what I've learned. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if you want to struggle and be miserable and walk around doom and gloom, I know firsthand what it's like growing up in a negative environment. We are products of our environment. So if whether it's negativity, alcoholism, abuse, whatever, what you see is what you will eventually turn out to be, unless you're strong enough to overcome it, right?
Right.
So yeah, and I know firsthand about all that, and the negativity part, not the rest of that, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I love my mother to pieces, but I mean, she could be so fucking negative that it's emotionally draining, and I had to call her out on it, and told her, like, look it, this isn't healthy for me. I don't like hearing this stuff anymore, and you need to listen to yourself. It's like things aren't really that bad. You're putting this shit on yourself. Like, really, are these people knocking on your door fucking bothering you? Who cares what they're doing? Really?
Right.
You
Right.
know, like you're being more consumed with their issue than they are themselves. So I think you just have to learn to step back and fuck, it's their problem, not mine, right? You
Right.
know, why are you making me feel like this?
Mhm.
Well, they're not making you feel. You're choosing. You're choosing to ingest these feelings into yourself. Nobody can make you feel any way you want except yourself,
Great correction there.
right?
Yep. Yeah, language is
So,
powerful when you have words of woe's me and self-pity and martyrism and, oh, well, I'm blaming everybody and finger pointing and complaining. You're the person that's pointing outwards is the person that suffers. That's the person that's going to repel people away. And unfortunately, people that blame and complain and finger point draw in like rats, other people that blame and complain. And so they all do it and it becomes normalized. So it's a very big attractant. We are naturally negative bias as human beings. It's a protection mechanism. So it really takes learning, like you said, to choose how you want to feel. Empowerment, right? Really deciding and taking life by the horns and saying, I'm going to take ownership of my feelings. Right now, I want to feel, or I choose to feel strong, focused, supportive, happy, the words that you've used. So I want to see if there's something that I can support you in the next 20 minutes. Is there something that's keeping you up at night, or something that's generating or creating a negative feeling, or something that you really would like to work through, that in the next 20 minutes we could solve something, you could get a takeaway and have something to move forward with, maybe a new tool or a new way of thinking or believing or perception of something, what is something that we can move forward in realm of, could be with your brother, could be with your mother, could be with Melanie, your wife, anything that maybe you're hitting up against some resistance, confusion, anything.
Yeah, no, you actually pretty much nailed it, the last part there. You know, like me trying to stay in my lane and not getting out of my lane and getting aggressive, mean, right? Because I'll admit it, I could be the most meanest, nastiest motherfucker you've ever met, and I have no holds bar on my mouth, right? I mean, I could, like, it would be easier to walk up and punch somebody. Not that I would do that; they would heal quicker than getting verbally thrashed, because those scars never go away,
Yeah.
right? They don't. That goes right into your soul, and the black eye or the tooth could be replaced, right? But gouging into somebody's soul like that deep with words, it never goes away, and it'll resonate for the rest of their life.
Right.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. You'd mentioned your twin brother. You mentioned that you call him, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, to continue that connection with him, check in with him. What do you feel in that relationship on a scale of 1 to 10? How do you feel about where you are in that relationship? So 1 being, I'm not doing anything, which does not sound like you're doing that, but a 10 being, I'm going over the top and doing everything humanly possible. Where are you in
Yeah,
that relationship?
I would probably say a 9, 9.5. I mean, I've since my niece passed away, I've already made a couple of trips back there, spent a little bit longer, longer than I normally do. You know yourself, when I go back there, it's really hard on me. I have to stay focused, and I wouldn't have to say I have to guard myself. I just have to protect myself, just so I'm not getting, I'm not absorbing the negative energy or everything that I've worked so hard to deflect away from.
Okay.
So basically everything when I was there for my last visit was just basically focusing on him and his family. I mean, I was spending time with my mom and whatnot, and she knew that I was there to, for my brother.
Right. So reflecting on that last visit, when you came back home, I want you to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 your mental, emotional, and physical energy. Because what I heard in that was you had to guard and protect yourself from the negative energy going on. So could you give me a scale 1 to 10 on your mental, emotional energy when you drove away? What are you on that? 1 being in the gutter, terrible, 10 being I'm a Superman, superhero.
I would have to say, to be honestly, middle of the road.
Okay.
You know, like, I could put on this persona that, yeah, I can't say 10 if it's not true, right? But I would have to say in the middle, right? Yeah, I was emotionally drained. A lot of memories, thinking about my niece, and times, since she was a baby we spent with her, and whatnot. Yeah, it was. I think it was helping me go through the grieving process. But in a way, when I would think of some of these memories, I would smile, because they were good memories, right?
Right.
Like there, we have pictures of Melanie and then our English bulldog Chopper. Like, she loved him. She was fearless. But my other niece, she was scared of Chopper because he's an English bulldog, grunting and groaning, and she would hide. Brittany wasn't scared of him. Like, she fucking would just grab him and hug him and whatnot, and he loved it, right? So
Yeah.
they're both together. I have her little urn on top of his box, right? So I mean, they were pals, and then they're pals again, right?
Something that you said, I mean, just sent goosebumps. Of course, you and I have been working together for years, but something you said in that statement, I mean, I'm still have goosebumps just going up and down my legs, through my arms. And it's that fearlessness that you talked about with your niece. I almost feel emotional about saying it. I don't know. It's wild. Yeah, that fearlessness. What could be the message in that fearlessness that your niece has?
She was innocent, right?
Mhm.
So when you're innocent like that, and everything's all new, a new day, a new adventure, right? Like, what do you have to fear, really?
So how
You
could
don't know what.
that help you in navigating this grief?
See, no, that's where I'm torn because how how everything transpired, and the individual that left her, how she was, and I'll be honest with you, I've been struggling with this. I wanted to fuck this guy up really bad. No, like, I'm serious,
Yeah.
and you know, but is that the answer? It's not going to bring her back. Yeah, sure. He'll be laying in a hospital with tubes and hoses coming out of him for a while, but then what? In the end, I have to pay because I will probably be charged with aggravated assault or something like that, or even my brother was so hurt that, like, I ain't gonna divulge too much, but you know what I'm talking about, right? There's avenues you could take to deal with these kind of things, right? And I told him, I said, that's not the answer. I said, trust me. I said, I was fucking right beside you, and it was green light, go time. Like I was ready to go there and just fucking deal with this guy. But it's not gonna bring her back. It's not gonna preserve her memory in a positive way, because then it's gonna look like we're fucking barbarians just going out and lashing out, and you know, I think karma will take care of this guy on his own.
Right.
Maybe the next time he grabs that needle and shoves it in his fucking arm, it'll be his last time. And, maybe he'll be laying there, unresponsive for 24 hours like he left my niece. And, I do believe in karma, right? It's
Yeah.
just sometimes karma needs a little push.
So how do we, because I want to reflect back to that five, right? You didn't say five, but you said middle between 1 and 10. So I'm going to assume five. So how do
That's right.
we preserve her memory, her innocence, her fearlessness, and use that, what she's shown you, what she's taught you? Because I believe people come into our life, everyone that comes into our life, good, bad, ugly, whatever, they come into our life to teach us something. So when you say preserve her memory, what is her memory, and how can you use those qualities, those traits, those things that really, like that fearlessness, to empower you to move forward?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess I have to take it one day at a time, and just, I think it's, part of the grieving process. And once I think the wound starts healing, then I think it'll, you know the flowers will start to bloom, right? you know they're gonna have to.
So right now you're watering the flowers, you're feeding the flowers, you're
Cultivating.
nurturing. Say that again.
Cultivating right now.
Cultivating.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a five, is kind of in this healing.
Yeah.
How do we get to a six?
Well, I think I could even reach higher once I could put this aside and really put my true feelings, like like I discussed with you, to the premier of our province, and ask him the questions. If the role was reversed, and if this was your niece, how would you feel right now? What changes would you like to make? Like, are you aware that she was unable to see her daughter's first steps? She won't see her daughter's first day of school, graduation, wedding, grandmother. Like, every like major life events that aren't going to be there, and whether he has enough decency to acknowledge it and make changes, I think by saving other people would probably give a lot of closure. And there's two things that I would like to see, and what they never mention is with this fucked up thing, what our province did here with this decriminalization of hard drugs, is they never mention recovery or they never mention treatment.
Mm.
All they're worried about is clean supply and needles and apparatuses for the users, but they never mention recovery or treatment. And if this man could just see the damage that has been done. I mean, this problem has been in our country and in your guys' country for as long as time. So why would you pour more fuel on the fire? Why wouldn't you want to see more people? To be honest with you, Catherine, even if 5% that went to treatment or rehab came back and were successful, to me that's a win, because that would be five more people that have another chance at life, right? Uh,
Right.
Opposing to making sure they have clean drugs, clean needles, and whatever, right? And also wasting resources of registered nurses having to stay in these injection sites to revive these people, where both our countries are struggling in the healthcare and a shortage of healthcare people. So wouldn't that registered nurses skills and her time be more valuable in an ER or on a ward looking after my family member or somebody in your family, opposing to injecting somebody with that narcon or that fucking drug to revive them? Because it's it's a waste of resources as far as I'm concerned. Like that lady or man would be more effective in a hospital or a clinic or in a um, old age home or somewhere doing something positive, helping somebody at least wanting to live, right?
Yeah, I hear in what you're saying is instead of putting a Band-Aid on the issue, it's really getting to the root cause, because people typically, not always, use drugs to numb out and to escape from the pain, whether that be mental, emotional, or physical pain. What you're pointing to is get to the heart of the matter and save even 5% of these people that are out there struggling. Change, move the resources over to saving lives versus almost
Taking lives.
reinforcing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so to move from a 5 to a 6, what I hear is you're also wanting to get involved and write a letter to the premier of your providence, and being able to describe this plan, this thought process of moving resources and making him aware of what's happening in your community and other communities. I mean, it's not just there, like you said, it's
It's
other
everywhere. It's
countries.
it's it's everywhere. It's like it's so sad that we're losing this youth that's never even had a chance. They've never contributed. They've had so many dreams and goals they could have achieved, but because this ugly fucking demon got a hold of them, that there's nothing they can do, right? Like there's no support systems for them. They have all these, like you say, band-aid programs, right? Okay, so they don't work. It's and I'll give you another example, and I'm going to make a little bit of a right turn here, not too much, but just a little bit. So this morning they were saying, and everybody's aware of the downtown east side in Vancouver, Hastings Street. It's world renowned for the poverty, the drug abuse, and whatnot. The politicians have finally admitted this morning on the news that as a society, like I've been saying for years, we fucking failed. they didn't want to put the money into the institution. They opened the doors and they let these people loose. Okay, so whatever ugly picture the media has painted of the downtown east side, yep, the drug abuse, the prostitution, it's all there, just like in every other city, minus the fact that as a society, we failed on people with mental illness, opened the doors, kicked them to the fucking street, literally. What are they supposed to do? It may not have been the best environment. They were safe, they were looked after, they had medication, and everybody knew where they were at, opposing to finding your loved one in the dumpster who's deceased because there was nobody there to care for them. Now, we failed as a society, 100%. Like, these are our people. How can you turn your back on our people and treat them like garbage?
Yeah.
Now they're saying, yeah, we made a mistake. We should have put the money into infrastructure, into this Riverdale institution. And yeah, a lot of these people did have severe mental illness, but that's something we never talk about, is
Right.
mental illness. It's kind of like it's taboo, right? I mean, you can only talk about it with certain people. Some people, they don't even give a fuck, right? Till it happens to them,
Right.
or it's in their family, right? Too little, too late, right? I mean, you don't have to be an advocate for mental illness, but hey, it's here. And nobody knows. The person sitting beside you could be suffering from it, but putting on a real good charade and hiding it.
Right.
Nobody knows, you know?
So what is within your control and your capacity too, right? Within your bandwidth, within your lane, what are you willing to do over this next few days to move you from a 5 to a 6 to feeling as if you're able to make a difference, as if you're able to preserve her memory, right? Tapping into that fearlessness, that innocence. What can you do to really connect with that, really anchor into what she's taught you, what you've learned from her in a way that potentially could lead to making a difference? I mean, I'm actually really grateful that you're bringing forward that it is in the news, that they're acknowledging that they messed up, right? They're acknowledging it. So this might be that prime time to advocate, right? Write that letter or be a part of something, or finding other people that have similar, same grief that they're experiencing, and create a movement or create some sort of message board. I'm not really sure what it is, but that's what
I can count. I can count on one hand who's in my corner and who I can trust, and you're one of them, right? So for me to go and worry about my neighbor's problems, I don't give a fuck, right? Because would he do that for me? Not a chance, right? I need to just focus on my family and what's going on around my family and with me for now, right? If somebody's interested and they want my opinion on it, they'll come and talk to me. I've put my neck out on the line too many fucking times to get my balls fucking stomped on and a kick in the ass and thank you very much, and I'm done with that, right? So, I have to spin the tables now and say, what kind of value do you bring me? Why am I always coming to the table with a plate full, heaped up with all my values? What the fuck can you do for me?
right.
Probably nothing. So I'll just stay in my own lane and keep doing what I'm doing then, right?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does. It sounds like you want to focus on you and your family, and continue to process and really cherish the memories, just as you were speaking earlier about the pictures of the
Yeah.
dog, and really focusing in on what she she showed you what, the innocence, the fearlessness, and whatever else there is.
She was 4 years old, I'll remember. And right above my mom's place there's our snowmobile cabin was up there, our club cabin.
Mhm.
So we had this family day, and everybody was up there with their kids and everything. And one of the guys from the club, he was a base manager for Highland Helicopters. So he's having helicopter rides. And when she seen this helicopter land, her eyes went as big as hockey pucks. So I said, "Do you want to go?" And she says, "Yes." I said, "But you can't tell Baba." That's grandmother in Russian, right? Baba. I said, "You can't tell her." "No, no, no, I won't tell Baba nothing." So her and I sit in the back, and I seatbelt her in, and I put the headset on her, and Phil's asking her, the pilot, he says, "Brittany, are you okay?" And she says, "Yeah, let's go." So we're flying around, and it's very scenic through the mountain ranges where we're at. And he's pulling these hammerheads. So he's climbing roughly about 7,000 feet, and then just it stalls and then just drops right down. And the only thing that was holding her in that seat was her seatbelt, and she's laughing.
Oh
So
my.
Phil comes over to me, "Oh, Brittany, you're having fun." She says, "Yeah, do it again, do it again." So okay, he did it about three more times. I was almost ready to fucking puke because I was getting tired of these hammerheads, right? So we finally come on the ground, and I fed her some hot dogs, and she played with the other kids. So before I put her on my sled and took her down back to my folks's, I said, "What aren't you gonna do?" "I'm not gonna tell Baba." I said, "Okay." So fine, we're coming down through the trail down to my mom and dad's, and pull into the yard. I grab her out of the truck, put her on the ground. What does she do? "Baba, Baba, Baba, I was in a helicopter." Then my mom just starts going fucking crazy. What if the helicopter would have crashed? And what if this? And you know what I mean, right? The negative, instead of being, "Oh geez, that's great, I'm happy," but it was like, so that's why I didn't want her to tell my mom, right? Because it just, she would have taken the joy out of that, and just, like, what if, right?
Mm. Yeah, and I hear, such beautiful memories and more, right? That joy, that again, that fearlessness, that innocence, that really living in the moment, being present, really enjoying opportunities and experiences that fall into her lap, right? Like she had no question. She jumped into that helicopter and just did.
She used to sit on my lap on the excavator, and we were working right on the Columbia River, and I was retrieving logs, and basically we had water. The whole undercarriage tracks and everything were in the river, and we had water up to the bottom of the window. And my brother is freaking out that I'm going to get sucked down the current, and he was more worried about his kid than me, right? But she's laughing. After a while, she puts her hands on top of mine on the joysticks, and she's pretending like she's running the machine. So then I just finally said, "Grab the controls, just grab them."
Yeah.
Right? And she's pulling the stick, and she's swinging the machine around, and whatnot. And it was funny. Like,
Mm. Another example of her fearlessness, right? And I love the innocence of children, right? They can, that innocence, we can see it, and we used to be that way too. In a
yeah,
different time, right? We lived in a different time without all the heavy information and the access to information, but you and I both grew up in a time that I think was pretty awesome, to be completely honest with you. But there's that joy, that innocence, that sparkle in her eyes that you're really bringing into this conversation right now, that I really think is what I hear in you saying earlier, wanting to focus on family time, wanting to focus on your values, wanting to really just pull back and just focus on your immediate family and healing and moving through this together.
yep.
So what can you do to continue to do that and support your brother through this process?
Well, I need to stay strong myself and on track, because if I'm not focused, and if I'm not sticking to my program, what am I? just a fucking a robot. Like, I'm a wolf. I'm the leader. So I need to lead by example. And if I can't lead example by what I've been taught and what I've learned, I'm not very good then, am I? Not really.
By being a leader, by being a wolf, and by peeling back and nurturing yourself, and in a fearless, innocent way, like your niece, like Brittany showed you throughout her life. I mean, you've only given a couple of examples, and I know there's lots more. What will that help, or how will that benefit your brother, your wife, and your mom, and those people that are also grieving, that are, really looking up to someone to mentor them, looking for someone to exhibit a way through, right? Nobody ever gets over loss, right? It's about
No,
getting
but
moving forward.
I think as long as we keep dwelling and feeling the pain, we're not letting her go on her journey,
Right.
right? We're holding her back here. So I think if we just could try and, like, think of the good times, and before her life went through this ugly transition and whatnot, we need to set her free, right? She needs to be with my dad and Chopper and all the rest of our relatives. Well, they're all up there, and I could just see them all fucking laughing, and they're probably all circled around her, and she's probably telling stories and whatnot, and because my dad loved her to pieces. Like, she traveled everywhere with my mom and dad, right? So guaranteed she's right there with them, and 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 I think that's what we need to do is to it's the pain for my brother will never go away, right? I mean, like, I can't even imagine what 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 he's going through. I mean, when I had to watch my twin brother cry like a baby in the hospital when she was on life support there, like, my fucking heart literally just fell out of my chest and was on the floor. Like, I felt helpless. Like, what could I possibly do or say right now to help him? The only thing I had to offer was just me being there, and I think that was enough for him, right? There's no words or anything you can do that's gonna help that, right? Or change it. I mean, it it was a very ugly sight to see, and I'll never get that out of my mind. But I I can't dwell on how I seen her in her last days. I I have to remember her before those last days, right? Because it wasn't her there, right? It was the disease got her, and it took her down this ugly fucking road, and you know,
Yeah. So what I hear is you're gonna buckle down, really focus on yourself, right? Because when your battery is at 100%, you're able to be that wolf pack leader. You're able to stay strong. You're able to kind of shine a light on where to go. And those people in your family and those people that love and care about you and are going through this are going to follow you, right? That mirroring again, right? You're going to show them the
yeah,
way. You're going to wave at them and say, here, come this way. We're going to maintain the memories of Brittany, the innocence, the joy, the laughter, the fearlessness. You're going to shine a light, wave them through, continue to reflect on the memories, reflect on the experiences, the positive ones, right? The ones that
yeah,
really, again, people really enter our life to teach us something, right? We never know. I always think of life as like a train, right? When we're born, we get on this train. We don't know where the train is going. We don't know where it's going to end. People get on the train. Some people stay on the damn train too long. Some people, we have to kick them off the train.
hundred
Sometimes people
percent,
get off the train and we don't even know it. And some people get
yeah,
off and come back on, get off and come back on, and that's fine too. The thing is that relationship to ourself in life is what is the train, right? So when we really have a rock solid relationship to ourself and see our mortality and see that, what is it that I want to create in this life? What is my meaning? What is my purpose? And lead every day with the end in mind in a positive way, right? What do I want to get? What do I want people to remember me by the end of my life? What do I want to be said at my funeral about me? When we really get super grounded in that, we really can actually start to live each day with the end in mind. We can live each day with a direction of what to do, how to live, how to behave, what to say, it's like a compass. And it will be your own words. It'll be what defines you, who you are, right? You're not your job. You're not all these other things, that labels and titles that we're given throughout our life and all of that. We're really something more. But when we really get clarity on that and live each day with the end in mind, and I know you real well, you're a big leader, you're a strong individual. People look up to you, people depend on you, people are inspired and want to follow you, and you have this natural leadership ability about you, and they want that, they crave that, they need that. And you're right, it's about leading the way. It's about showing them by example. It's about giving them a light to follow. And so they'll mirror you and they'll come along with you. So I want you, we're at pretty darn near the end of our time. And I want to give a couple minutes for if anybody has any questions for me, not for you, for me. Um, because sometimes in coaching, what ends up happening is it's a sacred space to say things out loud that is probably just swarming around in our brain. And once we say it out loud, it kind of gives this release. So sometimes there's gold in that, or sometimes there's gold in what we say, or maybe there's insights that happen along the way, or some clarity that opens up, or sometimes there's images or movies that play in your mind of, I know what I'm going to do today. I know what I'm going to do the rest of the day or the rest of the week. I know what I'm going to do tomorrow. So that's what I want to know is, what are you getting from this conversation? What is your takeaway, and what is an action step that you can do that will empower you to be that wolf pack leader?
So first of all, I want to say I was not paid to do this. I volunteered.
You're
This is
funny.
not a paid. This is not a paid advertisement. Okay, so I volunteered. But there are so many times throughout the day where you're on my shoulder, and I know I could slip so easily back into my old habits and just fucking verbally thrash somebody, or just get on this hate train, and then I gotta pull the fucking shoots because I know she's on my shoulder and she knows, right? She knows, like it's like Santa Claus, like when I'm bad and and when I'm good. So I don't want to like I want to keep progressing in this, right? I mean, I put a lot of time in, and yeah, it's sometimes I tend to fall back to old ways, but I have to reel myself in really quick, you know, or pull the shoots, right?
No.
So to me, it's a life-changing experience. Um, but again, I have to say, is what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So you could give 3 or 4 toolboxes with tools flowing out of them. If you don't know how to use them or when to use them, it's it's not going to help you, right? And to acknowledge when you're about to make that left turn or right turn instead of staying straight, right? And I think that's where I'm able to catch myself and pull the shoots. So, you know, when when things are going sideways on me.
Yeah. A lot of growth and a lot of acknowledgement and awareness when, I call it, for me, I call it intrusive thoughts. And I think it's funny to label it that way because there are thoughts that I have too on a daily basis, like I should say or do this. Uh and sometimes, I slip too and I do it and I go, oh, this is gonna end up bad. But it's the human experience. That's how we learn, is through pain. We learn through I have a positive connotation to failure or mistakes. I feel like that's how we learn, right? If we never fail, if we never make mistakes, if we never slip up or go off on a left turn or a right turn, if we never ever do that, then what kind of life would that be? There wouldn't be a day that we would remember, because every day would be rainbows and sunshines and it would just be monotonous. So it's really
Well,
about,
it's like eating fucking toast every day, all day. Toast, toast, toast. Don't you get tired of fucking toast? Like,
so yeah, we are meant to feel all the emotions, and grief is one of them. It really gives us that reflection on mortality, right? And in connection with love, and further and deeper, richer connections with those people that you care about, right? Look at what I'm sure if we had more time, you could probably be reflective and see the growth that you've had in your relationships with your mom, your brother, and your wife through this process. And so yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said there. Is there one sentence or a word that you're going to walk away with from what we covered today in this session?
I feel relief. Like I, I needed this. Um, I think I've been just packing for the last since my last session. I've been packing a little bit extra weight, and when the opportunity came, I took it because I knew I needed a tune up, right? And I'm just thankful that you're able to give me the opportunity to get on board, and I've got nothing to hide, right? Like, I'm an open book. So
Yeah. Well, thank you again for your courage, your bravery, and leading by example here in front of just a few of us. And I think that it really does show your strength, your courage, your willingness to be vulnerable, and make an impact, whether that be just in this family, this close family, and maybe beyond at some point in time, once you're moving forward from a 5 to a 6 to a 7 to an 8 in the space of how you're feeling and moving forward. I think that'll open up, and what you do with it, as we talked earlier, is coming from that place of love and compassion and empathy and wanting to make a difference in the memory of Brittany, and celebrating what she's taught you, what she's shown you, that fearlessness, um, that joy, that laughter, that innocence that she had I mean, I felt it through my bones when you talked about her. So thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Okay, we only have 5 minutes left. I wanted to see if anybody, you don't have to come off camera if you don't want to, you can stay off camera, but if anybody has any questions for me, we want to honor Mitch for being our teacher today, being our my partner today. We want to make sure that any questions go directed to me. If you want to say anything and thank Mitch for volunteering, you certainly may. But I'll just give a second here and go ahead and take yourself off a mic and say what's on your heart, or what you heard, or what you learned. Maybe you have a takeaway, a sentence or two. Any volunteers? And there might not be, and that's okay. I loved today's session. I loved how it was very touching. It was very, Mitch and I have worked together for a couple of years to see. We talked before we jumped on here. I wanted to see what he was okay with me saying, and we've worked together for a couple of years. So yes, this has been a month or so that it's been about a month, a little over a month that we've navigated this, the grief. And I think everybody here has been through this, something similar, some grief in their life, and it certainly is. It's helps us. I don't know. For me, it's about really seeing our mortality. It's seeing how fragile life is and how important it is to really live each moment fully, being conscious, being aware, being alert, and choosing how we want to feel in every single moment, no matter what's going on in our life, right? Those things outside of us, Mitch alluded to it at the beginning, that people can't make us feel any sort of way unless we give them that power. And when we give people the power to make us feel less than, it doesn't matter what the words are, but if we give the power to something, a person, a place, a thing, a situation, or a circumstance to make us feel less than, then we're a puppet, and then life is our master, right? All these things outside of us, all these people, things, situations control us. And then we no longer feel autonomy. We no longer feel like we have control over our lives. We feel like a victim. And then that creates this dynamic of blaming people, places, things, situations, and circumstances for how we feel. There's no ownership. And then we feel more overwhelmed. We feel more detached from ourselves. We feel more victim. We feel, we end up being a martyr without even realizing it. I've shared this in many different spaces, but that's where I come from. Probably about 15 years ago, before I started my own journey, I thought happiness was outside of me. I heard the quotes of happiness is an inside job. I would tell you all day long, yeah, you're right. Happiness is an inside job, but I didn't know what that meant. That's why I love quotes, is because when you understand a quote beyond the literal sense, when you understand a quote at a deeper, richer, more insightful way or meaning, it opens up a new perspective. You see things differently. So for happiness is an inside job. Happiness is being here in the moment and being happy and grateful and appreciative for life. That we have another day to make memories, to make experiences, to plan things near and far, have things to look forward to feel excited about learning something new, growing, creating a meaning or purpose in our lives, establishing new connections, or fostering or building on old connections. Because we need people. Now, I understand there's a spectrum of introvert and extrovert, but if you work with me at all, I don't like labels. Now, I get it. Some of us like more socialization and less. That's just a preference. That's all that is. The thing is we need community, and a community could be two people, and that's fine. But today was about relationships. Today was about being able to live your life fully, taking ownership of your feelings, and living your life from the inside out, not the outside in. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and being here. And for those of you watching the recording, thank you so much for watching this entire recording. And I'd love it if you'd give me some feedback, some comments, or send me your questions. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day.